Sophie Cunningham, she did it again. Sophie Cunningham absolutely embarrassed the Indiana Fever coaches, especially Briann January, who's supposed to be the defensive guru. I mean, Stephanie White came here from Connecticut. They told me she was a defensive coach when she got here. But Sophie Cunningham blasted them, letting it be known, man, the defense sucks. Whatever they have us doing sucks. This whole thing sucks, man. We got to get into it.
Welcome back to the channel, buddy. Get comfortable and hold on tight, because today we're diving into what may become one of the most shocking, toxic, and explosive coaching controversies the WNBA has ever faced. Reports suggest the Indiana Fever locker room has reached a breaking point where fixing the damage might no longer be possible, and the chaos surrounding generational superstar Caitlin Clark has allegedly sparked sweeping shakeups at the highest levels of the franchise. Fans were already outraged over how Indiana's coaching staff appeared to be utilizing Clark, but those frustrations may have been only the beginning. In this video, we're taking a closer look at reports describing a stunning revolt, where veteran guard Sophie Cunningham reportedly confronted head coach Stephanie White and challenged the entire direction of the team. The allegations claim Clark was deliberately restricted, prevented from running the offense freely, while White and assistant coach Briann January allegedly created a toxic atmosphere behind closed doors. But this story is said to stretch far beyond one emotional locker room clash. The fallout was reportedly so intense, and the alleged mistreatment so impossible to ignore, that league executives and Fever ownership supposedly stepped in and ordered a complete organizational purge. Head coach Stephanie White and general manager Amber Cox were reportedly removed from their positions. Stay with this video until the very end, because we're uncovering the alleged betrayal, the retaliation that followed, and the dramatic firings many supporters believe may have ultimately protected Caitlin Clark's future. Hit that subscribe button, and let's dive straight into this unbelievable chaos together.
And let's jump straight into this chaos.
We got to do that. We don't know what we're doing. Like, what? What? Let's get into this. You got Briann January. This is Briann January. You see her coming down right here, trying to calm Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham down on the bench. They're just disregarding her. Like, get out of here. Look, you see Sophie say, get out of my way. Get out of my face. Just get out of my face. And this is supposed to be the defensive guru that they're supposed to be listening to. They don't want to listen to no Briann January. I'm sorry. It just is what it is. They don't want to listen to Briann January, and maybe they have a point in not wanting to listen to Briann January. I mean, I think it's that simple. I mean, it is what it is. What has Briann January done?
We have to start with the reported locker room uprising that allegedly sent the entire franchise into complete chaos, buddy. Tension had quietly building inside the Indiana Fever organization all season, and the atmosphere was increasingly described as a ticking time bomb ready to explode at any moment. Caitlin Clark kept delivering elite offensive performances, including an incredible 32-point performance against the Seattle Storm on July 29th and for the fourth triple-double of her career against Portland on August 1st, where she finished with 26 points and 10 assists. Yet while Clark continued shining on the court, reports of a growing divide between the players and the coaching staff slowly began to surface. Even then, almost nobody seemed to realize just how deep and damaging the conflict behind the scenes had become. Everything reportedly changed when Sophie Cunningham allegedly walked into a private meeting and finally unleashed everything she had been keeping inside. According to the circulating reports, Cunningham directly confronted Stephanie White and assistant coach Briann January, openly questioning their leadership while accusing coaching staff of failing Clark at nearly every possible level. She reportedly insisted the coaches had failed to build the support system, offensive freedom, and long-term development plan that a player with such extraordinary talent and one's next generation potential truly deserved. That confrontation reportedly transformed the entire atmosphere inside the room. What may have begun as a difficult conversation about strategy and accountability quickly turned into a direct challenge against the authority of the coaching staff. Cunningham was said to have pulled the team's deepest internal problems into the spotlight, forcing players, coaches, and executives to finally face questions that had been quietly growing behind the scenes for months. Her message was reportedly impossible to misunderstand. Indiana possessed one of the most dangerous offensive talents in all of basketball, yet the system itself was preventing the talent from completely taking control of games. Once those concerns were spoken aloud, the controversy could no longer be brushed aside as ordinary frustration following a disappointing performance. It had reportedly evolved into a much bigger fight over the future of the franchise, the way its biggest superstar was being treated, and whether the coaching staff had become more focused on protecting its own authority than giving the team the best possible chance to win when everything was on the line,
And I thought, we were in foul trouble a lot out here, so we didn't have consistent rotations. We put them to the free throw line. We turned the ball over, got them some easy looks. I think we're better offensively and defensively than we were at that point, finding our way. And so, I think we're both different teams than we were at that moment. But all the attention to detail has got to be there. We got to take care of the ball. We got to make sure that we're disciplined in our defensive schemes, and we got to defend without fouling.
What's your take on these anti-trans and women's sports rallies that have been following you guys in Seattle and Portland and have been reported to come to the next stops in Minnesota?
Yeah, look, I think, anytime there's peaceful protest, that's people's rights, certainly. I think, when we think about the WNBA in particular, we are an inclusive league. We're a league that
The claims now circulating are incredibly disturbing, buddy, and they paint a picture that grows darker with every new deal. Sources allegedly claim Sophie Cunningham exposed a harsh reality unfolding behind closed doors. Stephanie White was supposedly preferred accepting defeat instead of adjusting her coaching philosophy and allowing Caitlin Clark to fully take the command of the offense. Cunningham reportedly pointed to White's confusing offensive schemes, rigid substitution patterns, and refusal to adapt, arguing those decisions were holding back the league's biggest attraction instead of giving her every opportunity to thrive. She also reportedly criticized Bree in January for standing behind that approach and helping preserve the same environment, reinforcing what frustrated fans had been claiming for months, that Indiana's own coaching staff was working against its brightest star. But what happened after one of the team's veteran leaders finally spoke up? Did White reportedly recognize those concerns? Did he attempt to rebuild trust with Clark or rethink the offensive system? According to the circulating reports, the answer was a firm no. White allegedly responded with anger, choosing retaliation instead of meaningful change. Rather than fixing the system, she supposedly enforced what many describe as a revenge-driven ban. During an emotionally charged confrontation, White reportedly pushed both Clark and Cunningham away from team activities, accusing them of creating internal disruption simply because they challenged her authority. The atmosphere allegedly became so toxic that leaked accounts and reported recordings described Clark and Cunningham as being pushed outside the team's trusted inner circle, leaving the organization even more deeply divided.
It is what it is. The game plan's whack. All of this stuff is whack. Let's see what Stephanie White had to say about it.
Addressing slippage, being able to really work, fine-tuning some details, and being able to add some things.
Slippage specifically, what do you view as those areas?
Well, there's always slippage. Certainly. I think execution defensively, I think execution offensively. Really, when it comes to details, you need reps. And so the opportunity to get reps is going to be important.
This lady says a bunch of nothing. Oh, what the details? How about a better game plan from you and Brianne January? Aren't y'all supposed to be defensive gurus? Aren't y'all supposed to be defensive gurus, Stephanie White? What is the big holdup on y'all getting the defense together? I don't understand. I'm having a very difficult time understanding Stephanie White.
Is this team where you expected them to be just on the learning curve defensively, or are they a little bit behind maybe where you expected? How would you gauge that?
Yeah, I don't know if there was a clear-cut expectation with so many new people. Certainly when you add new pieces different from what you had and new pieces that, some of them new to the league.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Did this lady just say there was no expectation? There was no expectation? Are you serious?
expectation.
Is this team where you expected them to be just on the learning curve defensively, or are they a little bit behind maybe where you expected? How would you gauge that side of it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there was a clear-cut expectation.
That was reportedly the moment everything finally came crashing down. Caitlin Clark allegedly refused to turn her back on Sophie Cunningham, standing firmly beside her team while they both challenged what they believed was an increasingly authoritarian response from the coaching staff. The locker room was said to have fractured into two opposing sides, coaches determined to protect their authority and two of the team's biggest voices demanding a system that gave Indiana its strongest opportunity to succeed. Once the alleged effort to isolate them reportedly became impossible to hide, the front office could no longer act as though nothing serious was unfolding behind closed doors. And buddy, a franchise can only handle a transformational talent like Caitlin Clark for so long before consequences eventually become impossible to escape. The growing public backlash, the reported threats of reduced roles, and the alleged refusal to modernize the offense supposedly left Fever ownership believing there was no other path forward. After witnessing months of mounting dysfunction, organizational leaders were reportedly forced to take swift and dramatic action. Stephanie White, who previously led Indiana to the 2015 WNBA Finals, was reportedly removed from her position as head coach. But the sweeping changes didn't stop there. Amber Cox, who had only taken over as general manager in October 2024, was also reportedly dismissed from her role, marking what many describe as a franchise-wide response to one of the organization's most turbulent chapters.
I think sport is a leader in that way. I think athletics is a leader in that way. We don't all have to believe the same things in order to pull together, in order to support one another. And in that way, I wish that society was a lot more like athletics. And I think that again, it's the most important thing to me is that we take care of our locker room, and as a league and as a human, from a humanity standpoint, that we welcome everyone.
What is it like, I guess, maybe you're aware, maybe you're not aware, just the Fever brand in general has been connected to things that are not necessarily commensurate with inclusivity. Like, how do you, as an out woman, sort of feel about that?
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate. I think it's unfortunate because the brand is being used in a way that I don't think it's the people within the brand that are doing that as much. I think that social media has a big influence on that. I think it's a very challenging time, I would say, when so much of the narrative it gets taken away in an algorithm, so to speak. And then that's what we're discussing, and that's what we're talking about. And it's the nature of the beast of where we are right now with social media and with algorithms and with bots and with all of those things, which is why the interpersonal communication, the connecting is so important.
What's your stance? What is your stance on men or athletes who test as biological male participating in women's sports? What's your personal stance?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I would say that I'm educated enough from a scientific standpoint.
Ownership reportedly reached the conclusion that making only a partial correction would never solve the deeper problems, choosing instead to remove both the head coach accused of enforcing the controversial system and the general manager blamed for allowing the situation to continue unchecked. The reported outcome seems to lead toward one overwhelming conclusion. Stephanie White allegedly lost her position because she refused to reshape the team around one of the most dominant offensive talents in all of basketball. Sophie Cunningham, meanwhile, has been portrayed as a player who risked her own comfort, reputation, and standing inside the locker room to finally challenge the coach's authority and bring the chapter to an end. Buddy, the irony surrounding this entire story is almost impossible to overlook. White and Amber Cox allegedly tried to push Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham outside the organization's inner circle, yet in the end, they were reportedly the ones who found themselves moved completely. For Fever supporters, that outcome represents a massive victory while also sending a powerful warning across the entire WNBA. When a franchise is fortunate enough to have a superstar capable of changing the direction of the entire league, it simply can't afford to restrict, undermine, or stand in the way of players with extraordinary impact and potential.
I'm sure they have expectation. no expectation defensively. There's no expectation. You know, we're just y'all just rolling the ball out there, and you just, hey, switch 1 through 5, no help. We just rolling the balls out there. Pick up, switch, no help, no expectation. Let's just figure it out on the go. Like, I mean, it's ridiculous.
I think that you gauge it early. You think about what you want to do and what you want to put in. You gauge how quickly we're able to get to that point, and then how much retention there is. And so, you know, I think it's a group that would I like to be further along? Of course, I think every coach would. It is where we are, and I think now for us having an opportunity for a week to be able to get back to addressing some of those things, and then seeing how much further we can push is important.
Do you have any updates on Caitlin and her status, or do you expect her to practice today?
Now we got to get to this portion where she did talk about the update on Caitlin Clark. Let's get into this.
I don't feel like legitimate WNBA fans. Caitlin did an individual workout this morning.
What does that entail for her? Is she with coaches for that? Is she just literally by herself?
No, she's with our player development coaches, with our medical staff, with our sports performance staff, and just you know, working on some basketball skill stuff, movement pattern stuff, as she continues to work her way back to full team activity.
Too early to know about availability for Sunday?
Yeah, no, I think it's still too early.
Do you have a better idea, I guess, of just her status? Like, is she doing better with her back, or do you have more clarity, I guess, just on the injury itself?
Yeah, I mean, I think every day is a little bit better, right? Every day is a little bit better. And again, you know, I reiterate for those who haven't had back issues, you know, every day can be something different. You know, you can feel really good in practices or workouts or warm-ups or whatever, and then you go to bed at night and you wake up and it's different. Or, you know, if you sit at home and you're watching something on television, if you're watching the game or whatever else, you can wake up and it's different. I mean, it's the back is a nagging thing that manifests itself in different ways.
Was it a re-aggravation? Is that how you would, the medical staff would describe it as a re-aggravation, or is this kind of a new thing?
Yeah, I don't think it's a new thing. I think it's a re-aggravation. Again, when you have a back, it's like every day is different.
Are you involved in virtual reality at all?
So, you know, she still has no. Caitlin Clark got to get away from Stephanie White. She has to get away from her. Lady got no info, you know, oh, she just did, you know, just another individual workout and da-da-da, like, listen, man, I hope y'all don't think y'all about.
Now it's your turn, and I genuinely want to hear exactly what you think. Head straight to the comment section and let your voice be heard. Are you celebrating the reported dismissal of Stephanie White and Amber Cox, or do you see the situation differently? Do you believe Sophie Cunningham deserves to be remembered as a hero for standing up to coaching staff and defending Caitlin Clark when the pressure was at its highest? Drop your strongest, most honest, and most fierce opinion below because this conversation is far from over. And if you're looking for the boldest, most direct, and least filtered WNBA coverage anywhere on YouTube, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel right now. We're not slowing down because we're committed to uncovering every controversy, every confrontation, every shocking twist, and every piece of drama that shapes the league.